Hello, everyone. My name is Kathi. Welcome back to My Europe. For those of you who are here for the first time, My Europe is a digital series of events, which is a collaboration of several Europe Directs. And every fourth Wednesday of the month, we are hosting guests from different countries. They give us an insight to their perspective in their countries and talk about a topic close to their heart. Today we are welcoming Tiko Lagvilava, but she's also presenting herself. So throughout the event, you can ask questions, and I will talk to Tiko. But if you wish, you can also ask to unlock your microphone for the first time. And for the first time, we see each other face to face, which is really nice. So here you can see our partners, which I also already said, this series of events are hosted by those different Europe Directs and the Institut Français Aachen as well. And if you have any questions, you can type in the chat or via the Q&A button, but also I will pick up your questions if you want to do that, or also ask for the microphone, as I said. All right, so Tiko, I think I said enough. You can introduce yourself. Stage is yours.
Okay, I will share my screen first and then I will start. Do you see my screen?
Just 1 second. Yeah, now we can see your screen.
Okay, great. I'll share it. So as you all know, I will talk about Georgia today, and I'm really happy to be here with you. This is my pleasure. I'm Tiko Lagvilava. I am the young activist from Georgia. I am from Zugdidi, but Zugdidi is the small town of Georgia in its western part. It's near seaside. But now I'm a student and I study at New Vision University. I study politics and diplomacy, and because of my students' studies, I'm in the capital of Tbilisi now. Apart that, my basic job is to work in different NGOs in the Zugdidi and in Tbilisi as well. And but like I'm active citizen of Georgia, and also I'm kind of activist. And you can see my picture here from one of the demonstration, which was Ukraine supporting demonstration, and it was organized by me. And this is what I'm proud of most, to organize a demonstration. Well, our today's meeting will have 2 parts. No, 4 parts actually. The first part is to talk a bit about the history of Georgia. The second part is to talk how democracy works in Georgia and what is the ongoing situation here. The third part is to talk about the relations between Georgia and the European Union. And after that, I'll give you some travel recommendations, because as I know, some of you really want to travel to Georgia. And of course, you are welcome to come and enjoy Georgia. Well, yes, Georgia is a country. Georgia is a country in the region of South Caucasus, and Georgia is a European country in the Black Sea region. Our neighbors are Russia, Turkey, Armenia, Azerbaijan. And yeah, basically that's it. And this is how we Georgians talk about our country. Our population is almost 4 million. The capital is Tbilisi, and the area is, you can see here, 69,700 square kilometer. The motto of our state is that strength is in the unity, and the anthem of Georgia is called freedom. And I want you to hear to the anthem of Georgia now, because like every time the Georgians listen to the anthem of freedom, we have some kind of different feelings. And I think it happens to everybody, but especially when it comes to like Georgian anthem, for me, it hits very different. Because this anthem is, for me, is the symbol of the state which survived through the kind of a lot of historic like attacks of the enemies, the aggression of Russia, a lot of internal problems, and still we fight for our freedom. And we always had a lot of problems only because of the single reason that the freedom was very important for us. And even our anthem is for the freedom, like we sing to the freedom. That's why I want to start my presentation with our anthem, because talking about Georgia is not, it's impossible and unimaginable without freedom and the anthem. So yeah, that's it. I hope you can you hear the anthem?
No, right now not. No,
No?
more or less.
You can't hear it?
No, right now, no, but play it again. Maybe we can hear it then.
Okay, wait. I'll play it again.
No, I don't think it's working.
Okay, so I guess it's some kind of technical issue, so we can simply skip it, but just to remember that the anthem is the symbol of Georgian freedom and the unity of Georgian people who fought for freedom and democracy and to build the democratic institutions inside the state. So yeah. This is also like when we talk about the freedom and how Georgian state survived throughout the histories and like these years and centuries. For now, 20% of Georgian territories is occupied by Russia. And here in red, you can see the territories of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, which we call Samachablo in Georgian. And these are the territories which is occupied by Russia, and they still continue to occupy our territories day by day. Yes, and we had one of like very popular the journalist and poet in Georgia, also civil activist by 19th century, and he was saying that a present which has no past has no future, and that's how I want to start my talk about the history of Georgia, because I thought if I would start to talk about present situation without past, it would be out of context, because Georgia is a state with a history. So I had this slide because Georgia has only 30 years of state independency, but Georgia was on the kind of world map even in the 6th century BC, because in Georgia we had two kingdoms of Kolkheti and Iberia. And these people from Kolkheti and Iberia were very clever. They had a lot of innovations. And even the Greek people, by the time we are writing that, the Kolkhis are one of the most intelligent and educated people around the world. So this is something every Georgian is very proud of. After that, I took the 10th century AC, because this was the time when different kingdoms of Georgia were united, and Georgia became a united, like one state. Yes, and it was united by the king Bagrat III, and this is the icon of him. After that, like the third, I think, kind of one of the most important focal point in the history of Georgia was 1784, when the king Erek Ale II signed the Georgievsky Treaty, and Georgia became dependent on the Russia. And after that, Georgia was the part of Soviet Union. And then in 1991, when the Soviet Union was dissolved, Georgia gained its state independency. And this man here is the first president of Georgia, Zviad Gamsakhurdia, and I think he was killed in 1993, but he is still one of the most popular Georgian politicians. because he and his political group, we are really fighting for Georgia's freedom and democracy inside the state. After talking about Zviad-Gamsakhurdia, I wanted to note that Georgia had only 5 presidents, and you can see all of them here. This is Zviad-Gamsakhurdia. After we have Shevardnadze, and then we had the Rose Revolution between this second and third president. The third president, probably you also heard about him if you are the lovers of the Georgian politics and the politics in the Caucasus region. He's kind of popular, Mikhail Saakashvili. He's very popular around the world. And now he's in the jail. He's the, I would say, private prisoner of Putin because he's fighting against Russia and Russian propaganda in Georgia. And he had built democratic institutes inside the state. The first president is Georgi Margvelashvili, and the president for now is the first woman president of Georgia, as well as Salome Zurabishvili, and she really does a lot of things for Georgia's European integration. And she is the one who is contributing most for Georgia's European integration from the government's side. Well, after talking about Georgia's European integration, it's linked to the democracy inside the states. And for me, like when people ask me how democracy works there, this is one of the most complicated part because I will try to explain and then you will understand. I understand that the democracy inside the state should be built by the government, the citizens, and civil society together. But in Georgia, it's kind of different because the government is on the one side and civil society and Georgian citizens are on the another side. Because, for instance, in government, like for now, I will very honestly say that we have very pro-Russian governments. These are the famous poster of Putin and our oligarch Ivanishvili and our prime minister and our previous prime minister, and now we have this new prime minister, Irakli Obakhidze. And if like even last week, Irakli, this second guy here, was the prime minister. But 2 days ago, this oligarch wanted to have some kind of changes of the roles and kind of figures in Georgian politics. So he changed the one marionette by another marionette. So this is something Georgian people are very worried because all of these politicians, aforementioned politicians, are Russians and they have their businesses in Russia, and they really consider Georgia as Russia's backyard and only the source of making money. And on another hand, we have the citizens of Georgia and Georgian civil society who are united and who fight against governmental aggression and Russian aggression inside the state. And this is very famous picture of a woman holding the flag of European Union on the March demonstrations. Probably you've heard about it because it was broadcasted around the world. But during the March demonstrations, Georgian government initiated the Russian law. One of the idea of the law was Russian, and that's why like thousands of Georgian citizens came in the streets, and we've demonstrated for our rights and for democracy inside the state. And this is also another very symbolic picture from the one of the demonstrations, which was organized together by Georgian citizens and Georgian civil society. And also Georgian civil society is one of the strongest in the Caucasus region as well. So after that symbolic picture, I think to talk about Georgia and its European integration is very important. And Georgia's European integration is really like the hottest topic in Georgia right now, because several months ago, Georgia received the EU membership candidacy status together with Ukraine and Moldova. But now Ukraine and Moldova are started their negotiations to join the EU, but Georgia is only just received the status because all of the actions which was implemented by our government, which I said it's pro-Russian. Well, yeah, this is what I said about this. Georgia is in the package of Ukraine, Moldova, and yeah, Ukraine, Moldova, and Georgia, and it was an EU enlargement package. And like there are some points which is very important in terms of Georgia's EU integration. And I think firstly it is Georgia's civil society, because the result which we have now, and this is the EU membership status, is only because of Georgian civil society and be only because of Georgian activists. I would say including me, because like we just believe me that we stand in the streets to simply defend our basic rights of like freedom of expression, our basic rights of moving in the streets, even the rights of queer people, because queer people are not protected in Georgia. They can walk, but the law doesn't protect them. Somebody had a question?
Maybe, but I think
Okay.
I think the person is not saying
Well,
anything.
yeah. And
Since we have this little cut, I wanted to say that keep in mind if you ask a question that this meeting is recorded. So if you have a question throughout the meeting, yeah, keep in mind that this are going to be in the recording.
yeah. Yes, thank you. Since I was talking about freedom of expression, I want to mention that the freedom of media is also not guaranteed in Georgia. The Georgian, I would say, independent medias are in danger because some of the governmental and pro-Russian groups are attacking their journalists every week, particularly, and they work under danger only because of the single reason to have democracy in Georgia and to promote very like true information and support Georgia's European integration. And the third important point of for Georgia's European integration is the contradictory decisions, because and I will explain this. For instance, the official foreign policy strategy of Georgia is that Georgia is aspired for European and NATO integration, like Euro-Atlantic integration. But on the other hand, while we are waiting, while the state was waiting for the final results for the EU membership candidacy status, we had a Russian law in Georgia, which was initiated by the Georgian government. We had the direct flights from Russia to Tbilisi, which is our capital, and we have a visa-free regime with Russia. And all of this happened in the last 6 months. And all of this was done by Georgian government only for the single reason to not become the member of the European Union, because they couldn't say that we don't want to be the members of the European Union. We are making all of these crazy decisions, and that's why like all of the I would say healthy minded and democratic minded Georgian citizens, we are standing in the street and protesting only for the single reasons to make this country the member of the European Union. And then we had the final result, and we finally received the EU membership status. And on that day, we had the huge celebration in the Georgian streets. And this is also one of the BBC sujet about the marriage demonstrations. But since we can't hear the voice, I wouldn't play this. This is the picture from the demonstration when Georgian activists protested. When the Georgian activists protested direct flights from Russia to Tbilisi to Georgia, but we still have direct flights. This picture is from my hometown of Zugdidi, while March demonstrations. And this is like all the young people. You can see that the streets were crowded here. And I put this picture because the demonstrations were not held only in the political center of Georgia, which is Tbilisi, but they were all around Georgia. It means that like the whole society of Georgia was united for the single reason to have freedom and democracy inside the state. And yeah, the result was that the government canceled to discuss the law in the parliament. Yes, and this is also I'm very proud of it because I was somewhere here on that day. This is also a picture from the March demonstration, and you can see how police officers are, I would say, attacking the Georgian people instead of supporting them. This is also a picture from March demonstration. This is a very symbolic picture of the flags of EU and Georgia and also Ukraine in front of the Georgian parliament, and the final result that Georgia received the candidate status. And this is the picture from this national celebration of receiving the candidacy status. And also here, before going to traveling, I want to say that like in one of the points of this contradictory decision of our government was that Georgian government didn't really support Ukraine as a state, and Georgia didn't join any sanctions because they were saying that if the government side, I mean, we're saying that if we will support Ukraine, then have the second front of the war in Georgia. They meant Abkhazia, but of course it's not true. And Georgian Legion of this volunteer warriors in Ukraine is the largest volunteer warrior soldiers group. And this is also something Georgian people are very proud of. And if you will travel to Georgia, you will see a lot of flags of Ukraine and European Union in our state. And just remember that these flags are not hanged by the government. All of these flags are voluntarily hanged by Georgian people and Georgian activists to just show their aspiration. And yeah, I also want to mention one of my personal experience, and this was very emotional for me because in July I was in the camp with some of the people from Europe, and it was held in Tbilisi, Georgia. And there was a one very nice girl from France, and she was telling me on the first day of the camp, she was telling me that Georgia shouldn't be the part of the European Union because you are not really European and this kind of things. And it was very, very emotional for me. But I didn't tell her anything. Just for the whole next week on the sessions, I was telling and discussing with her how European Georgia is. I was talking about our European history. For instance, my hometown is Georgia, is one of the most European hometown, city town, because it has historic links with France. And if you will decide to visit Zugdidi, you will notice a lot of common with the architecture, with the people, with the urban of the town. So yeah, and like after I was talking to her about how European Georgia is on the last day of the camp, she came to me and she was crying and she was telling me, "What? Why are you crying?" And she said that, Georgia is much more European than France is, and this was very, very emotional for me. But generally, I'm not crying a lot, but I remember that I cried on that day because for me, for the person who was standing on these demonstrations and things, it was very, very emotional that someone from the heart of that political, like from the European Union tells that, so, Georgia really deserves to be the part of the European Union. And this was double motivation for me. If you have any questions,
so sweet.
yeah, it was really nice. And like when it comes to traveling in Georgia,
yeah, maybe someone has a question on the
of course,
space, so we could open the space or remind the people that you can also are invited to use the Q&A tool on the bottom or at the top of your screen and just type in the question. I will pick it up. So if you have any questions on the political side of Georgia, maybe this might be a good opportunity, or if not, we can also ask a question at the end of the presentation. Yeah. All right, Tiko, then you can introduce us to traveling in Georgia. I'm so excited.
Traveling in Georgia is really a great thing. I travel a lot inside Georgia because Georgia is the place where you can swim in the sea and hike in the mountains in like 2 hours because we have like simply everything here. And I will show you some pictures. This is the seaside called Batumi, and you can see the mountains near where you can hike and camp and do many things. This is not, guys, this Amazon Valley. This is the Kolkheti Valley in Georgia, in Samegrelo, which is in the western part of Georgia, and you can come here and explore this beautiful area in the summer. This is also one of the most beautiful canyon called Martavili Canyon, also in the western part of Georgia, and this is one of the like most popular attraction, not only for tourists but also for Georgians. So yeah, this is Mestia. This is in the region of Svaneti. And this is mountainous part where you can, do snowboarding. And these houses are very traditional Svanetian houses. You can also explore it and stay there for overnight. This is Gudauri, another ski resorts where you can have fun if you love skiing.
That's nice.
Yeah, and in Tbilisi, I think if you've been to Tbilisi, you would see this like for no reason. This is the sulfur water, and this sulfur water we always had it in Georgia because, like in Tbilisi, because this is how Tbilisi was named. The Tbilisi is capital of Georgia, and I will tell you the Tbilisi in Georgian. Tbili means warm, and sea means the sea. Tbili means warm, and Zhva means sea, like Tbilisi. Because when the Georgian king called Vakhtang Gorgasali, he was out for the hunting, and he saw this beautiful place with some sulfur waters. And after that, he decided that the new capital of Georgia should be built in Tbilisi, and he built this Tbilisi. And after that, we have this sulfur waters, and this is also one of the most popular attraction for everybody in Georgia. Well, yeah, and I also know that you had a lot of questions about Georgian, food, Georgian sufra. Sufra is a table in Georgian, and I simply brought one picture where you can see everything Georgian. For example, this bread is called tonis puri, and it's the most delicious bread I've ever had. Here is the very special Georgian cheese. And Georgian like sufra, this Georgian table offers the food for both like vegetarians and meat eaters. We have for instance, we have Hinkali, which is very, very, very cool. We've heard about it. It's very hard to pronounce. I agree, I know. Hinkali, but it's so super tasty. We have Georgian barbecue. We have Georgian salad, special food with some veggies. It's very nice. Yeah. And I want to say that in Georgia, we really love to eat the food with walnuts. Like we eat a lot of walnut food. And this is something Georgia is also popular for like walnuts.
Would you consider this a national dish, or do you have something else which is like
No, like all of this here are national dish, but
yeah.
Georgia is very diverse, and in all the Georgian regions we have different food, absolutely different from each other. For instance, in my region of Samegrelo, we use the food called elargi, which is a white corn with the special Grelian cheese called sulguni, and it's the tastiest thing. Like you can. And we also have the food called romi, but it's the idea is like a large, but it's without cheese. If you will go to another region of Georgia, somebody will offer you khachapuri, which is very popular around the Georgia, but in all of the Georgian regions, khachapuri has absolutely different taste, and it's made in absolutely different by absolutely different recipe. You can see khachapuri here in the corner, in the right corner.
It's
But
like the cheese bread, right?
yes, yes, yes. It's like a cheese bread, yeah. But we also have the khachapuri, which looks like a boat. It's simply like a cheese boat. And it has
Okay.
absolutely different taste, and they make it in Batumi. Batumi, you heard about it probably. Batumi is like one of the most popular Georgian city. it's near seaside, and it's like Georgia and Las Vegas. So everybody goes to Batumi in summer. It's a must to do in Georgia.
Have you been there?
Yeah, like if you will visit Georgia, of course you can contact me anytime, and we can go together and explore Georgia. And most importantly, as I mentioned, like Georgia is historically part of Europe, and I wanted to end my presentation with this word that Georgia is your European travel destination. So if you want to just travel inside Europe, you can come to Georgia and explore this beautiful city. And this background picture is the picture of Tbilisi, old Tbilisi, which was founded by that king, which I mentioned already, when he saw sulfur bath. Yes, and thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, of course, you're more than welcome, and I will try to answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I think we learned a lot about your country and about the food and the politics, current politics. So thank you so much, Tiko. So does anyone have a question? You are really welcome to unlock your microphone and ask the question or use the Q&A tool. So maybe we can wait a little bit. So maybe a question is coming up. But yeah, maybe you can tell us, Tiko, about how was studying in Georgia. You just moved. How was that? Is it really different to live in a big city, or was your city like? Did you notice any differences so far?
Yes, like there are a lot of differences because Sugdidi is a very small town, and there are not a lot of young people here because most of the students from Sugdidi move to capital. We have one university in Zugdidi, but the quality of the education there is not really satisfactory. So all of the Georgia Migralian students go to Tbilisi, and I think the students from all around Georgia move to Tbilisi for their study opportunities. In Tbilisi, I study in the international university. I am in the minority of Georgians inside my university, so I will talk about how this Georgian experience will work for international students. It's I think in terms of visa, it's very easy. We have no complicated requirements for visa. But Georgia is a very nice option for you to study if you are interested in the Eastern European countries and also in the post-Soviet countries, because here you will see the mix of post-Soviet culture, 17th medieval centuries, and then the modern world and Europe, and also the European medieval centuries. And also here you will meet a lot of Georgian students, bright-minded students, and with them you will have a nice experience. Like to specify more, you can study medicine. We have a lot of medical students, international medical students in Georgia. And also I study politics, so I have a lot of international students who study politics in Georgia, and as I know, they are quite satisfied. So yeah, Georgia is not a bad option if you are interested in post-Soviet states and in Eastern European.
That's so nice. So you would say your country is really welcoming other people because of, well, your university, because there are a lot of people from outside of the country?
Yes, yes, I do. Like even for me, when I graduated the high school, I had a kind of dilemma to stay in Georgia for my bachelor or to go abroad, but I prefer to stay in Georgia for my bachelor and experience more Georgian universities with international experience and international community, I would say. But for masters, I'm going to go somewhere in Europe and study there because I think I really need to get the experience of living and studying in other countries, and it will help my personal and professional growth.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing this.
I have a question. if I
Yeah.
may. So is it easy for students from other countries to connect with Georgian students? Like, is it easy to speak to them? Like, do they speak in English, or is it a little like in Germany where everyone keeps to themselves and doesn't dare to speak English, for example?
Firstly, I would say that Georgian people, like, we are very energetic and also sociable. So it's really very hard, easy to find a common tongue where in Georgia. And the young people, I think everybody speaks in English. It's not a barrier or challenge for international students to come and find their friends or whoever in Georgia, because I also have a lot of international friends, and all of my friends have international friends who study in Georgia, so it's not really hard. I don't know, but like when you live in different country, everything can be a challenge. I wouldn't say that living in Georgia is not a challenge at all because it's some kind of utopia. Of course, it would be a challenge, but the language, I think you won't really have a language barrier with young people. But the older generations who lived in the Soviet Union, they don't really speak English most of the cases. They just speak Russian and Georgian. But also, like Georgian youngsters, a lot of Georgian youngsters know German. I
Wow.
don't know. Yeah, because in school, for instance, I was studying German, and then I decided to continue. And yeah, like there are a lot of students in Georgia who also can German, and we even have some courses in German language. Like I know one of my friends studies medicine in German group, and she has the special class for German, and she studies medicine in German. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing. And that's why you did an exchange to Germany, as they would say.
I was there for one time, and I would
One
love to
week,
have more exchange in German.
better than nothing. So Christiana asked if you could show us the map again out of your presentation. Of course, I think if you were able to share your presentation again from the beginning, that would be nice. Tiko?
Yeah, I will share it. No problem.
I wasn't sure if
Oh, how should I go back?
yeah, now it's working.
You mean this one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you can show us where you lived or where you grew up. Where you grew up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this is the eastern part of Georgia, western part of Georgia, and this is the eastern part of Georgia. Here is the capital of Tbilisi, where I am based now, and most of the Georgian universities are here, and this is also the political center of Georgia. I am from this part of Georgia. It's near this administrative boundary line with Russia.
Mhm.
My hometown is called Zugdidi.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can see
And
it.
yes, and this part is occupied by Russia. It's called Abkhazia. And
Mhm.
in my hometown, we have a lot of IDPs from Abkhazia, especially from this small town called Gali. And this is another occupied part. It's called Samachablo in Georgia. In Georgia, we call it Samachablo, but
Mhm.
officially it's South Ossetia.
Mhm.
Also, in my presentation, I mentioned Batumi, Georgia, Las Vegas, and it's located here. Yes, I also mentioned Mestia. Mestia is here. It's very mountainous part of Georgia, and yeah,
The one with the ski resort.
yes, yes,
Ski
yes, it's here.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking
that's
about people, are there any cliches about Georgian people?
Hmm.
Like the French are supposed to be arrogant and Swiss people are always punctual or something?
I don't know if it's cliche or not, but like I've heard for a lot of time that Georgian people are very famous for their hospitality.
Well, that's nice. That's a really
Probably
nice
you've heard
cliche.
about it as well. It's not something very bad, like, but Georgia is very popular, and Georgian people are very popular for their hospitality.
It's a good cliche.
Yes, because, like, for instance, one difference, like when the guest comes to your place, they call you, yeah, in advance and ask if you are at home. In Georgia, it never happens. Like, they just come to your place. It doesn't matter if you're free or not, if you have food or not, if your house is dirty or clean. You should always be ready for some guests, always in shape.
So has that happened to you?
I'm not really a guest lover, I will very honestly say. And I just tell this to all of my friends, and that's it, they call me. But I think in the younger generation, it's like we mostly call, but my parents' generation and like the older generations, they never call, they just visit.
Yeah.
But for me, like when some of my relatives and close friends visit, it's okay. I'm used to that, like it's totally okay in Georgia.
Oh, that's good that this is like a common thing. Everyone knows how to react.
Yes, yes.
Everyone knows what they prefer, have to prepare.
Yes.
Yeah.
For instance, like there also in Zugdidi, in my hometown, when a guest comes to your place, you should always cook a homi, very very popular Migrillian dish with white corn.
What is it? Oh, is the dish or what you mean?
It's like a dish, yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically the boiled white corn with corn flour, and it's very tasty, and it's like a garnier. And
Ah, okay.
if you want cook this homey, then it's kind of shame, because anytime the guest comes to your place, you should have a homey. Otherwise, they won't say
They're not your friends
something
anymore.
about you. Yeah, they won't praise you. No.
Okay. Well, and what is your favorite part to visit? Like, I imagine you already visited your country, maybe the countryside or the
Yeah, like
sea.
my favorite part when it comes to like seaside is Batumi, probably. When I'm with some of my friends, Batumi is like seaside, and also there are a lot of nice restaurants and cafes to visit there. But I'm not a huge fan of seaside, to be honest. I prefer mountainous part, and I really enjoy to be in Mestia here, which I already mentioned, and Gudauri as well. Gudauri, I also showed you the picture of Gudauri. It's one of the resort, winter resort.
Nice.
I really want to visit Sukhumi, by the way, which is in occupied territories here, because as my relatives in the older generations say, this is the most beautiful part of Georgia, with the seaside, mountains, a lot of international people by that time, before 90s, before the Soviet Russians would occupy it. And it's as people describe, it's like a paradise, so I really want to visit Sukhumi one day.
That's nice. But you can't go right now because you can't get
Yes.
visa or
Yes, right now I can't go there. It's because this territory is not controlled by Georgia. It's controlled by the Russian side.
yeah, but like does it mean you can't get visas or are you not allowed to go at all?
Technically I can go there because if I remember correctly, like if a person has a relative in Abkhazian side, you can have an invitation, like something like an invitation letter, and go there. But we also have a occupation law in Georgia, which means that if you will go there, then it's considered that you support this regime, and also it's very hard because for instance, since I'm an activist here, it's not really safe for me to go because this territory is controlled by Russians, and yes.
Yeah. And how is the activist life in Georgia? Like,
Okay.
can you tell us more, give us an insight of what you do daily, or yeah, how you organize yourself?
You know, I'm not really I'm not a daily activist in Georgia because I think I'm more like a situational activist because I'm an activist when it's needed. I don't
Mhm.
I'm not an activist for I don't know for climate change or for environment every day. I am activist basically for Georgia's EU integration and democracy, and I think my work is connected to activism itself because I work in one of the NGOs and promotes democracy, human rights, and Georgia's European integration among my peers in the region of Samegrelo, my region here.
Mhm.
And we daily talk about the importance of democracy, human rights, freedom of expression, media freedom. And this is how my activism works. And also, like as an activist, what I've done is that I have organized I've organized the Ukraine supporting demonstration in Zugdidi, which was the hugest demonstration after 90s in Zugdidi. So this is how my activism works, and also I conduct some advocacy campaigns when it's needed and when I identify the problem which needs to be solved and I have resources to solve it. I do some advocacy campaigns, and this is how my activism works. But in Georgia, we have a more kind of radical activists who are activists every day and who stand in the streets and who had the posters and who spray paints the walls and for them it's like for me it's safe, but for them it's not really safe because our government detains them and puts them in the prison. For instance, right now we have one young very nice guy in the prison called Lazare, and he was detained only because he was standing on the march demonstrations, and he's in the prison now. And his case is popular, but there are a lot of Georgian activists in prison who are activists every day. So this is our Russian propaganda in Georgia, and also our governments together, they are implementing some kind of fear in the younger population because the young population, we are really the, I would say, power and the voice of our society to protect our country and ensure our territorial integrity for one day, and they occupy the territories of Abkhazia and South Ossetia, and have the human rights and just living in the Europe, which won't be good for some officials in Georgia who make a lot of money with the support of Russia.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Russian propaganda really works in Georgia, especially in the rural regions, and especially in the regions which are close to this administrative boundary lines here.
Mhm. All right. So
I
we
think,
have
yeah, I think I see some questions.
we have another question. If I get the question right, Christiana is asking how the neighbor states like Armenia and Azerbaijan reacting to the fact that Georgia is going to be a member of the EU.
Oh, that's a nice question. So for that, I have to talk a bit about the relation between Armenia and Azerbaijan.
Mhm.
Like somewhere here, we have the Armenia has the Russian base, which is a threat for Georgia because anytime, like if in case of war, Russians can come from their Armenian military base and occupy also this territory. Armenia, as you know, like their foreign policy is not really pro-European, even though they are trying to convert themselves to more democratic states. They have this background of being more European, pro-Russian, and Georgia doesn't really has a a nice diplomatic relation with Armenia. Of course, we both recognize each other. We have embassies, but we don't have a lot of joint programs. And of course, like I don't know, like probably they are positive about Georgia's European integration because right now they also have a pro-European political strategy. But before that, they didn't have. So this is very contradictory and complicated. In terms of Azerbaijan is aspiring for European integration as well. So Azerbaijani was very positive, and they, when I think, if I'm not mistaken, their president also congratulated to ours.
All right.
Which, of course, I can say about Russia. They were not happy about our candidacy status.
Yeah, that's why you were on the street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have another political question. So, do you think that now that that Georgia has a candidate's status, that the government will be more supportive towards the EU processes, or?
Well, I think that this current government will never be supportive to the European integration because it means that they will lose their businesses and their kind of additional salary, from Russia. But this year we have elections in Georgia in this October, and I hope for some positive changes. But the thing is that this government can't officially say that we don't want Georgia to be the member of the European Union. Officially, we have the pro-European foreign policy strategy, and Georgia's main first aspiration is to deoccupy our territory. And the second aspiration is to be the member of NATO and European Union. So they can say that we don't want to be the member of the EU. But this is our actions. This is what their actions say. That they make a lot of money. They don't want to be the members of EU. But as I said, I hope for some positive changes on the upcoming elections.
Oh, thank you for your opinion. I have another question about you mentioned queer people kind of has no rights in Georgia. How well do you know how the life of queer people is, or like where the state is not, like where's the law affecting their lives?
The thing is that the law is not really affecting their lives because we have the law which supports them, but they also don't affect them. Like the law says that, and the state says that, to very simply explain, they should be for themselves, and that's it. And the queer life, I really don't know how their life is, but I'm not sure if it's I think it's full of challenges. Because there's a very high public pressure, especially in the regions, and they can't marry officially. And as I know, some of the queers have been even attacked in the streets. So I can't say like that their life is easy in Georgia. It's not really so.
Yeah, but thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
So we're kind of reaching the end of this event. So please ask questions now. Still, you can ask questions now, but in a few minutes you won't be able. So please ask while Tiko is giving her time to us. Okay. Christiane is asking another question. You showed us the picture of demonstrations. Do you think in your country there's going to be a civil war?
Civil war?
Yeah.
Well,
do you think there's a chance that this is gonna?
No way. Like I can say that no way because anything can happen, but in these terms, I don't really think that we'll have a civil war, because these pictures from the demonstrations were like very temporary demonstrations to urge our government to to do not adopt the law of again, like this Russian law, or to cancel this visa-free regime. They were not something temporary. Civil war probably can happen like after, revolution or something, or before revolution, or it can be a clash between two groups. But in Georgia, like every time when we go to the demonstrations, our main claim is that we want to have a peaceful demonstrations. We don't want to have a violative. So that's why I think that it won't go. It can't go to the civil war. And also because in 90s, Georgia had an experience of civil war inside the state when there was a kind of clash between two presidents, the second and first president and their supporters. So we really still face the results of previous civil war in Georgia, and it's something like, part of our genetical memory that no, civil war and war is very bad. Even though we've experienced the war with Russia in 2008. I was born by that time, and I also remember some of the moments. We are against violence. We are always demonstrating peacefully for our rights.
That's good to hear.
So you mentioned the Russian law. Maybe you could explain it a little bit more. What's
Yes.
in that term?
The idea of the Russian law was that the government was introducing the law by which all the organizations which were supported, financially supported by the European or US funds, would become the foreign influence agents. The people who would be employed in that kind of organizations would become the foreign influence agents. And I want to say that this law was adopted in Russia. I don't remember the exact date. And after this law, all of the NGOs and civil organizations were simply disappeared in Russia. And this is what our government wanted to do. Like by this law, their goal was to vanish all of the Georgian NGOs and civil organizations. That's why we are protesting. And also, this law would affect Georgia's European integration in first.
Another political question from Christiana. Do you know if there's torture in Georgia, or have you heard that there's existing something like that?
You mean torture in the prisons, or what kind of torture do you mean?
I think so. Or maybe you can open up your mic and ask yourself, Christian, if you want to.
Is she typing or?
Not sure. I think she's speaking.
We can't hear you.
I can ask you to open up your mic, but I don't think I can open up your mic.
Oh, well, if you mean the torture in the prison, it was a case for during the last government of Saakashvili, after their government was changed by the current one. Some of the people were really talking about the torture and extremely bad conditions in the people who are arrested because they took part at a demonstration. They are victim of a torture. Okay. Well, this you mean torture? Yeah, like this was a case during the previous government when the people who were arrested were the victims of the torture, and they were. I think there was also one guy who was even killed because of the torture. But right now we have no this kind of. At least I know so that we have no this kind of precedent in Georgia that people in the prison are are tortured because of their political position or something. I think this is more common practice in the Russia and also in Belarus, because I know the person who is the victim of this propaganda of torture in Belarus and in Russia. So yeah, it's not really a case in Georgia. I don't think that somebody will torture. Probably they will arrest and you will be in the prison. Like for more clarification, one of the Georgian journalists, pro-Western journalist called Nik Agvaramia, he was in the prison. And I saw his interview. He was saying that there was very nice conditions in the prison, and he was quite satisfied with this conditions in the prison. He had his TV, and the personnel was quite friendly. So he went thanked to the prison personnel. And also, as I know, the current previous president of Georgia, the third president, is in the prison now as well, and he was also saying thank you to the personnel in the prison. But he's in the prison because he's the private prisoner of Georgia, and then our government arrested him because they are kind of serving the decisions of Russian government and Putin. That's why he's in the prison. But he lives in the normal conditions as well, as I know. But he has some health problems, and this is something personal, not because of the prison personnel or because of the torture.
All right. Thanks for answering.
I have another question. So you didn't mention it at all. So what about religion? So I know there's a lot of influence also by the Orthodox Church. So if you want to mention something about that would be
Yes,
nice.
yes. Georgia is a Orthodox Christian state, and like more than 70% of Georgia's population is Orthodox Christian. And for now, Georgia's patriarchy, or like Georgian Church, is pro-Russian, and they are also part of this Russian propaganda machine of promoting Russian interests inside the state. In Georgia, it's the free decision to choose your religion, whoever you want to be. And we will have some religious minorities in Georgia. We have a mosque, we have another kind of churches in Georgia. So yes, but most of the population is Christian.
So you have a lot of churches throughout the country as well.
Yes, we do. We have a lot.
Nice. Yeah, so does anyone want to ask a question? Okay, I think you already answered every question from the Q&A tool. If there are not any questions, if there's not at all any question left.
I think somebody's asking, Christian is asking, this would be nice to have your presentation, and if the Europe Direct will allow me, of course I can share my presentation.
Yes, we can do that. So if you're okay with it, we can send it to the participants, and
yes, no problem.
together with the link to this video.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Well then, needless to say, thank you very much, Tiko. It was a pleasure to meet you and to get to know your country. I think we don't have any more questions, and I think we call it a I don't know how to say it in English. I think we call it a night, and wish everyone a good evening or night. Yeah, thank you for showing up, everybody. Thank you for asking a lot of questions, especially Christiane. Thank you. And I hope next month and throughout the next month you are going to be here again and see and learn about more countries. Well, thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone,
Thank you. Goodbye.
and see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye bye.